Hello everyone, this is Dominika and welcome to our new episode of the Expat Career and Lifestyle podcast. Today I am coming to you with another special guest, Irene Fehr. She's a certified sex and intimacy coach, and she helps couples make love and sex work in long-term relationships and bring sex and passion into sexless ones. So I am very excited about this interview, and we have a hot topic today. So welcome, Irene. Happy to have you with us.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Welcome, you're welcome. So please tell us more about you and what are you doing exactly?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm a sex and intimacy coach, and my focus area is helping couples who are deeply in love with each other to connect courageously in and through sexual intimacy. So it's couples who are, like I said, who have a strong relationship, but who are struggling maybe with sexual desire in a long-term relationship after moving countries, after having children, or even have gotten to a point where they may be in a sexless marriage and they want to make it work. They're in it to do whatever it takes to make all aspects of their relationship work.
Yeah.
Especially sex and intimacy in this case.
Yeah, because you are also an expat. You are living in the Netherlands right now, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, so how could you please tell us more about your international journey? How did you, how it started, or what was like your big challenge that you had to overcome in your international expat life?
Well, my challenge started basically when I arrived in December of 2019, then COVID hit. So it was a very strange way to start living in a new country. So I had just settled in, and then again, everything got locked down in March of 2020. And, I had to get over a lot of feelings inside because here I was, finally made the decision to move back to Europe. I was finally here. Things were falling into place. And then we were locked down and then life stopped. So, I went through a lot of grieving of the plans that I had or all the things that I wanted to do. But it was also a very nice opportunity, when everything was locked down, to also take a break, because as your listeners know, the expat journey is intense and it's stressful and it takes a lot of energy. And I continued to run my business and launched an online program and was seeing clients while I was also packing up my life and moving here. So now I live in the Netherlands. It's going to be almost 3 years in December, or it's going to be 3 years in December. And I very much love it here, but in a way, my life is just starting here because of COVID putting a brake on things. I'm just starting to build a social life here and get to know people. So it's still challenging that way, but it's also exciting because I'm ready to get out and really enjoy life here.
Yeah. So let's say on one hand, you had like a possibility to adapt and to settle down like in very slow and let's say slow way. But on the other hand, it's good to go and make connections and explore your new country, host city.
Yeah. Exactly. And especially with learning the Dutch language, I was taking courses, I was studying, but I had very little interaction with actual people that I could practice Dutch. And so that has slowed my acquisition of the language, which has been frustrating for sure.
Yeah. Fantastic. So thank you very much for sharing that. So my question is now, like, how did you come up with this idea to become a sex and intimacy coach? What was like your why? What prompted you like to choose this direction?
I laugh because that direction I didn't choose, it chose me. And it was my own personal story almost 20 years ago that led me here. And that was the story of ending up in a sexless marriage because I lost my libido. I lost interest in sex with my husband, whom I loved very much. And it was devastating, and it was confusing, and it was challenging, and it led to a divorce because we really could not address it. We couldn't get over the barriers of communication to really talk about it, to get to seek support, to get help. And so again, it led to a divorce. But at that time, I was very much in it, so I wasn't seeing a career in it. But a couple of years later, after many years of still being shut down, and in a way, that experience traumatized me so much that I stayed shut down for many years afterwards. But at some point, I realized this is no way to live. This shut down state is this like depressed state. Like, I am wasting my life away. I need to fix this. I saw it as fixing myself. I need to fix this. And so I went on a journey, a personal growth journey, to understand what happened to me, understand my sexuality, to awaken it, only to realize that there was nothing to fix. I actually wasn't broken, but that our relationship, according to no fault of anyone, mine or my ex-husband's, but our relationship was missing a lot of the key ingredients that I needed for my sexual desire to come on, like time, like being touched in a sensual way, like deep emotional connection. And so losing my libido was just a natural response to that. Again, according to no fault of either of us, we just didn't know. We didn't know the way, thousands of couples that I've worked with now don't know also. They don't know what to do. They don't know what's happening. They don't know what these nutrients are or what these essential elements are. And they get very frustrated and confused, and often the relationship falls apart. So there I was learning about that. There I was opening up my own sexuality, learning about my body, accessing these amazing, pleasurable, connected sexual experiences where I felt whole and integrated, and again, with so much pleasure. That's when that light bulb went off. And that's kind of what I say, like, my path chose me, this career chose me, where I felt equipped with this knowledge and experience to help, not just thousands, but millions of women and couples who experience this. Because, the more I started to work with clients, the more I realized that everyone goes through something similar, and some have the tools to get through it and others don't. And so that's why I now, for more than a decade, I've been doing this work with women and couples.
Yeah, fantastic. So, like, this from your own experience, that like expat life, it's stressful. You can be busy with adapting to a new country or looking for a job, or maybe you are, for example, like an expat partner and you are like taking care of everything. So you have this pressure on yourself. So all those factors can like impact your relationship. You can have like mixed feelings about your partner. So how to nourish your relationship with your partner while living abroad, while having this expat experience, because it can be challenging. So yeah.
Absolutely. And it boils down to communication. And what I mean by that is, communication is always important. That's how we get to know each other. That's how we communicate our needs. That's how we let our partners know that we love them, that we appreciate them. So there's a lot of value in communication. And when things are stressful, when so many moving elements are happening, so that there's external stress of a new country, new language, new job, maybe new schools for your kids, new culture, everything is new. There is so much more than that's happening on the inside, all the feelings, right? You may have a lot of feelings about what's happening, positive ones, negative ones, frustrating feelings, all of that. And so what's really necessary is to be able to be open and vulnerable about your needs and about your expectations. And this is something that couples rarely, if ever, talk about, is their expectations of each other and what kind of support they need when they go into the expat journey. Some of it is hard to predict. You just don't know. New country, you've never really lived there. You don't know what to expect. But it's also about expectations around, for example, if one partner is working, another one is taking care of everything else, what are the expectations there? And what kind of support do you need? Or if both are stressed and don't have time for each other at all, again, what are some of the expectations and what are some of the needs? Because what happens is that if needs are not met, and if we are individually struggling, we have nothing to give to each other. We become depleted. We become resentful. There's tension in the relationship. And that's when things start to get worse. So opening up that communication to really let your partner in, to let them know what's happening for you. What do you like, don't like? What do you need? And I don't mean sexually, I mean just everyday life. And your expat experience. The more you can do that, the more you can stay lovers, meaning connecting heart to heart, and the more you can nurture your relationship. If you're staying just on the practicals, just talking about what needs to be done, you no longer connect as lovers. And so the romantic relationship, the romantic part of the relationship deteriorates.
Yeah. So like what are the signs that our relationship is becoming like less it's becoming sexless? What we have to like pay attention to, like I don't know, lack of communication, as you said, or maybe something else. What are those signs that like it's time, like maybe having those conversations, or even like asking for help, for support?
Yeah. So definitely lack of communication heart to heart. You may be discussing the practicalities, who's doing what and when and how, but you're no longer sharing your feelings or your fears. You're just talking about the practicalities. That's definitely the first sign. But then of course it goes into the bedroom. So it may be that you don't feel close to each other anymore, and you do not offer physical affection to your partner, or you don't reach out to them when things are happening, again, because there's that distance, to progressing to maybe having less frequent sex, but also having less frequent touch that leads to sex. When you see touch being limited to just sex, or touch even in sex limited to getting off to an orgasm, sign that you're actually missing the passion and the intimacy. That sex is just being reduced to getting off. It's reduced to that release, but the intimacy part is lacking. To then, of course, on the extreme end is that the frequency is less and less, and you're noticing like, oh, we haven't done it for a month or 2 or 3. And you start to maybe get into those patterns of one person bringing it up, like, oh, we need to do it. That too, obviously, it's signaling that there is no sex, but it's also, if you're paying attention just to the frequency, it means that the intimacy, the passion are not there. And so those are some of the signs to look for.
Yeah. So like what women can do when they are like losing their passion, or they how to get like your libido back? What can we do? Yeah.
So let me define what libido is for me, and then answer this question. So for me, libido is our life force, our desire to experience life through our bodies. And that's what sexual energy is. It's the energy of creation and energy of life. And so the way we as women, we experience that aliveness is through pleasure. Now, most of us in our lives experience aliveness through doing things, achieving things, making things happen. And we suck at filling our tanks with pleasure. We suck at actually receiving. pleasure that actually gives us that aliveness. And so if a woman is struggling with libido, it's usually because she's starving of pleasure in her life. She's starving of the things that would have her body come alive and start to feel really relaxed and soft and tingling. And again, that's pleasure. That nutrient is pleasure. So to answer your question, and it's about reconnecting to or rebuilding your relationship to pleasure, reconnecting and feeding yourself pleasure in your life. Now, it does not have to be sexual pleasure, although of course that's one way, but it's taking a moment to sit down and really enjoy your cup of tea as opposed to rushing somewhere to do something. It's taking a shower and really feeling the water on your skin. It's asking for a hug when you really need it and allowing yourself to truly let go, to truly soften in your partner's arms. It's about asking to cuddle when you want to, or be touched in a certain way, to receive pleasure in the way that really feeds you. And specifically on the timeline that really works for you. Men are so much faster at this. They're moving like with the speed of light versus how much time women need to really drop into our bodies and to receive pleasure. We need really to stretch out that time. And so reconnecting to your pleasure includes giving yourself permission to take as much time as your body really needs to fill up.
Yeah, that's very interesting, like allowing yourself, which can be difficult, especially when your schedule it's busy and you have all those, your mind is busy with all the thoughts, with everything, but it's very important to do that. So like what would you say, so you shared a lot already, but what is like one thing that a woman can do to have a healthy sex life?
Well, it's definitely the one thing, which is pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's not only an antidote to a busy life, but it's also, like I said, an essential nutrient to our libido. And our libido is women's libido tends to be responsive. And I cover all of this in my free 3-video series called How to Want Sex Again, and go through really understanding this and really showing how it works in depth. So I think that link will be provided to your listeners. But I'll cover just a kind of the summary of it, is that our libido is responsive. That means that it doesn't just spontaneously come on unless you're in ovulation, if you're in your baby producing years. And we need to basically wake it up. We need to build it. We need to nourish it, kind of like you would nourish a plant. You give it plant food. And so our bodies and our libido awaken when we receive pleasure. We start to feel good. We start to, again, get softer, get tingly, start to like, oh, this is exciting. And what we respond to is pleasure. So we need that pleasure for a healthy sex life. We need to receive, and we need to receive even, as much as we give, if not more, if you have a history of starving yourself from really receiving that pleasure. So that pleasure could be all those things that I mentioned, and certainly sexual pleasure, really taking time and not worrying whether you're annoying your partner or whether your orgasm is taking too long. It's and it's asking for the kind of touch or the kind of kissing that you want, or the kind of experience or exploration that your body is really craving for. So that pleasure piece is the number one, and by far, like, it's just such a huge element to have a healthy sex life for a woman.
So I think that like the conversation, communication, this is important with your partner. But what, for example, if your partner thinks that everything is all right, or it's like he is like denying, or she is denying that, yeah, you have like problems in your relationship, or a passion and sex is missing. So like, how to start this conversation in this situation? What can we do?
Yeah, so this is, I get this question a lot, and
Yeah.
one of the most common frustrations. How do I get my partner to see the
Mm-hmm.
problem in our relationship? And actually thinking about it this way creates some of that problem. What I mean by that is, our role in a relationship is not to convince our partner whether there is a problem in the relationship or not. That is very theoretical and philosophical, and very much like what a teacher would teach you to do. And so typically people will get defensive when the other partner is making these kind of conclusions about the relationship. Who are you to judge our relationship? I don't agree with you. It creates this kind of defensive response and posture. And how to break out of that is to actually get vulnerable and to have a heart-to-heart conversation. And an example of it would be like, hey, I really miss spending time with you in bed. I really miss the way we used to really explore each other. And I feel like I am withdrawing and I need help. I need help from someone else to show us the way back. And so you make the discussion about you and your needs, rather than some big judgment about the relationship, whether there's a problem or not. And no one can argue with your needs. Now, of course, there are some people who might say your needs are not important. I don't care about providing for your needs. So that will be a sign that this is not a healthy relationship. But most people, if they're in a good relationship, the alarm will sound in their minds of, oh, my partner is unhappy. Their needs are not being met. They're reaching out to me vulnerably. What can I do? So it becomes, instead of this intellectual conversation, it becomes a vulnerable conversation about, again, needs and desires. And that's how you can actually make headway into helping your partner see what's happening inside of you and potentially seek out solutions to that.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So thank you very much for sharing that. Yeah, it's a common question. I think every woman or a man is thinking how to start this conversation. So we spoke about couples in a long relationship, but what about like single woman, single expat woman? For example, she's busy with her work life and building her career or business in a new country. So, and she's thinking, for example, that she doesn't have the time to find a partner, or maybe she's scared that her new relationship will be like a big error once again. So how to like break those patterns? Yeah.
Well, the woman that you're describing in this scenario sounds like she might be starving of pleasure if she's working all the time. And she's also coming into a relationship from fear.
Yeah.
And that's a recipe for disaster. Coming from the starving place, maybe exhausted place, and having fears about repeating mistakes or not finding someone. So in this situation, what will be very important is, I will say this risking sounding like a broken record, but it's reconnecting to her pleasure that's going to be really important, because we don't really attract people when we're at our most exhausted and worst selves. We kind of usually shrink away, or we send this energy that we're not available, or we're not at our best. And so what I would tell this woman is, what brings you pleasure? What makes you feel alive in your body? What feeds you? What makes you smile and light up and feel like anything is possible? Do those things. Do those things, whether it's going in nature or going to cultural events or doing pottery, if you've been dreaming about doing that. Do something that lights you up, that relaxes you, that feeds you, and you will come alive and attract your partner, whoever that is, wherever you may meet them. But get out and do things that make you feel alive and lit up, and things will flow so much more easily than if you're, again, in that malnourished place. So first thing is take care of yourself, find your aliveness, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Of course, you still may need to get out, for example, and do online dating, or get out of your house if you're working from home and go meet people, but let the desire to do things that light you up drive you, and the universe will take care of the rest. The right people will show up on your path.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so we will leave this question to all single women who are struggling with their relationships, or they think that they will never find a perfect, let's say, respectful partner. So we will leave this question with them. And yeah, so Irene, thank you very much for sharing everything. You are wonderful, and it's a wonderful topic. So I have many questions that I would ask you, but we have to do maybe another interview, another podcast. So if you please could tell us how people can connect with you if they want to explore more, and yeah, what are your projects right now?
Well, my website is irenefehr.com, and that's really the best place to get in touch with me, but also find a wealth of information on this topic, on sex and intimacy and relationships, as well as for single women. And I have a free 3-video series called How to Want Sex Again that you can sign up to receive on the website as well. Interview my past clients to have them share their stories. And so check that out on the website too. I'm really excited in helping people see what's possible by having my past clients share their stories. So that's under success stories on my website. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be more and more coming up there soon.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I will put all the links with the show notes, so everyone can go and check the information, and also the course. Yeah. So any last piece of advice for women, to nourish old,
I guess 2, and again, I will repeat myself, is for women, pleasure is the way to your aliveness, to your libido, and so much of it is giving ourselves that permission to enjoy it, to take time, to give ourselves that luxury, which shouldn't really be a luxury, it's a need. And for couples, communication, risking being open about what really is going on for you, what really matters, asking for what you need, instead of complaining, digging deeper into what needs are not being met, and being vulnerable about that is the number one thing in a relationship that allows you to get through anything. And not only that, but to actually enjoy your expat experience out there, wherever you're living, but also, of course, at home in your relationship. So it's really about braving intimacy, opening up to your partner, and of course, receiving and hearing them as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing and for being with us today. So to our listeners or people who are watching the video version, please tell us what are your learning points from this interview. Maybe you have your own experience to share when it comes to nourishing your sex life while living abroad. So share it in the comments. And insights, doubts, or questions. And I will be back with another interview or with another episode of our podcast. Thank you very much once again, Irene.